again,
Are
minimum.
you mastering your mixes, or are you sending them out for mastering?
I always master my mixes, but my master is literally, turning up a few dBs and that's it. Like I literally just one plugin that turn it up. That's it. So basically, it's just a hotter version of the mix. That's really all it is. However, when we're sending it out to mastering for like albums or projects, where there's multiple songs, really my goal is to get it back from the mastering, better than mine, but usually they're the same or almost the same. So like the improvement that I see at best is maybe 2%, which of course is
That's
welcome.
awesome.
But it's I always say record like there's no mix like there's no master. That's totally applicable to my workflow.
Yeah.
I mix like there is no mastering, and also because I just don't want to rely on somebody else, right? And most of the times my masters are the ones that are being released. So
Wow, that's wild. Is that like a genre specific thing, or do you think that's just like unique to you?
no, I think it's unique to nowadays.
Just like lower budgets.
A lot of colleagues do that.
Really?
Yeah.
So interesting. I find like there's a range with mastering of like if you want to get it back, like if you want the mastering engineer to like imprint something else on the mix, or if you want him to just kind of barely touch it. I find like sometimes I send off a mix and I just like don't touch it too much, and then sometimes it's like no, give it a little bit of extra glue. Like I don't know, like it just depends. I think.
Yeah, my thinking is while mixing, you can do all of those things by just moving a fader, right? So why bother with hoping someone can address that issue on a 2-track anyway? So
Yeah,
that's the best way to do that.
yeah, I feel that. I think what's I mean, for me, the number one reason to get something mastered is because I don't have objectivity by the end of a mix. And there's those like minute spectral stuff that I just don't know if I did right. Like maybe I should use a little bit more sub. I don't know. And it's not even necessarily about the room as much of just like your ears don't know anymore what's the right thing to do.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Just some thoughts.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Wait, so you mentioned earlier that you have a trademark sound. What would you say that is?
Huge low end. That's my trademark sound.
Yeah.
My bass is deep.
Hell yeah. I'm a bass bass player. I don't know if you could see my
there you go. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, my bass, my low end is disrespectful, man. I'm often getting sued because I'm breaking speakers.
We should all have that goal.
Yeah.
What do you have any tips for people who are looking to get more low end out of their mixes?
Define what the format of it is. If we're talking about a kick, for example, decide okay, this song is in this key, and the lowest that we can get in that key is that. Okay, now that's your bass line. That's exactly where your building is attached to the ground, right? That's where it is. And once you establish that, then you can build everything on top.
Start from the ground up, basically.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Because it's all dependent on the key, right? Depending on the frequency of the lowest format of the key, you may be sitting at 45 or maybe 30, or maybe your thing is calling 32, but you already know that's way too deep for basically any system, right? So as much as I would love to sit my mix at 32, that's probably not going to fly, So you got to determine that, and if that's the case, then you're gonna go to a 64, which is also kind of high for a sub frequency. So what you're gonna do, right? You gotta take all of these things in considerations and making your best judgment and moves.
Yeah. Is there a lot of side chaining in hip hop?
Yes, a lot of side chaining, a lot of even if it's not side chaining per se, it's whatever it takes that needs to be done to
get them
separate where the kick lives and where the bass lives, or the other way around. Separate in frequency, in time, whatever works, But yeah, in order to achieve the maximum output for the mix, you need to have that addressed quick too, early in the session.
Yeah,
too.
Absolutely. Do you often find that you're getting like 2 tracks to mix, or are you almost always getting multi-tracks?
No, almost always multi-tracks. 99% is multi-tracks. It does happen sometimes that we don't have the stems, but at that point, it's either, what's the plan of action? Either we get it reproduced, and I got guys that can do that very well, of course, that's not ideal because it's never the same,
Right.
obviously. But it's better to mix vocals on a, pre-cooked 2-track, which I know it has been limited to death. Right. So there's no space for anything, right? So no, yeah.
Wow. Wild.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your vlog for a second, because I feel like that's going to be super interesting, and I know that's something that you're super pumped about. So we talked about how you're building this new studio, Beat 3, I think you said. So tell me a bit about the vlog. How often can we expect to see those vlogs? What are you going to include in them? And
yes,
where can people find them?
My YouTube has been dormant for over a year now, and I've never been a YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber. The content that's living in that platform is all documentaries that you can see sessions of in that one studio, that one time with that one client, and I'm addressing that one thing that I'm showing you, right? That offers very interesting content, and for anybody that knows about audio production, there's a lot of information, and it's actually kind of interesting to see, generally speaking. But of course, the downside of that is that it takes a lot of time for me to do that, and I have to have the right situation in which I can do this. I can't really do it with celebrities and things like that. So it's so that's why the YouTube has been living, existing, but very slow. Now with the new vlog, the whole thing changes. First of all, it's a weekly released vlog. So every Wednesday at 9 a.m. LA time, there's a new episode coming out. And this is a completely different style of videos. First of all, I'm basically showing every step of the way what's going into making this incredible new studio, from the design to the first decisions to then breaking ground and building the thing. I'm building it from ground up. So we'll see actually the whole thing growing. And then eventually the interior design and build, and then the gear choices and installation, and then eventually the usage. Now, what I just described to you is probably going to be in the next, 2 years or something. So it's going to be an ongoing thing. But I figured you never see a building or an undertaking of that magnitude to being showed, because it's huge, it's very big. So good thing is real estate moves a lot slower than regular business. So of course, producing this kind of content is actually feasible. So even though it's a weekly release, I'm not making the content this week to be put out the next week. So there's time for me to show, also because in real estate there's a lot of downtime, and then there's like go, and then it's like silence for 2 months, and then go,
like the army or something
like that.
Hurry up and stop.
Correct.
Hurry up and wait. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. And so that's what's happening on the vlog. I definitely invite anybody that has any kind of interesting recording studios to peep it. And in addition to the studio stuff, I'm presenting every other week a section or a segment where I'm listening to a mix in the car, which is something I do all the time. So that gives you an insight of what I'm looking for in the real world once I leave out of the studio. So that kind of gets you an insight of how I'm thinking and how I'm approaching mixing. And then the other 2 weeks of the month, I am doing unboxing for bow ties like this one, where I'm, bow ties manufacturers from all over the world send me bow ties, and I get to open them and enjoy them with
Sick.
you.
Amazing. Well, good luck with the undertaking, and I'm excited to see the studio go up. And I watched the first two. I think you posted the third one today. So I'll put a link to the channel in the show notes, and people can go check it out.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. Do you mind touching a little bit on, I guess, communication and how you communicate with the various producers and artists that you work with? Like any important highlights, any important takeaways that you think the audience should know about?
Music, first of all, is communication to begin with. It's an artist that is trying to communicate a message for the lyrics and an artistic solution for the harmonics content of it. And as far as the production, the whole thing is a genre or a song, whatever the case may be, right? So it is communication it's an art form based on communication to begin with. And for all of us that are working this field and dealing with producers, musicians, and songwriters and singers and whatnot, it's pristinely an area of communication. The communication that's happening between the mixer and the producer, that's what I was kind of talking about earlier, is of course, it kind of goes without saying hilariously, but it's part of, it's like the foundation of how the session will handle, right? Or develop. And so it's very, very important. And communication at large with any kind of entity or team or relationship, whether if it's your wife or your family or your business partner, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's all about that communication. And so, yes, for me, it's very, very important. I make a very big effort. I put a lot of efforts into communicating with my clients as clearly as I can, and that doesn't mean that I don't do the text message. I do text messages all the time, but communication goes on so many different levels, and it's very important. Yes.
Wow. How do you stay on top of all your stuff if you have so many clients and you're doing everything yourself? Do you have like an organizational method?
I work all the time. That's how. That's really all it is. I work all the time, and I'm always on call for anything. At any given time, I have 10, 15 mixes open with revisions coming from everywhere, from the producer, from the artist, from the label, this and that. It happens all the time. So I do have on my notes on my Apple ecosystem, I have different notes dedicated to all these things. One is the to-do for the day, which includes everything, not only the mix, but also, the invoicing, the accounting, the, what I need to do and things like that. And then I have one dedicated only to mix revisions so that I can keep track of what is due for a revision. So if a client says, hey, I want more snare on that, I don't do the more snare on that. I note it down and I have it. And next time it's time to do some more revisions, I make sure I collect all the comments from everybody involved and I deliver a new version of the mix, that comprehend everything that's been talked about.
Yeah. No point in going back several times. Just do it all at once. I totally feel that. Yeah. Amazing. IRKO, we've touched on so many things, and I love your personality, and I love all the I don't know. I love your vibe, and I love how passionate and dedicated you are to the craft of mixing and just audio. What's one thing that you would want to share with the audience? Something that you kind of, maybe you did or you didn't do at the beginning of your career, but you wish somebody had told you, and you'd want to tell somebody who's kind of at the beginning of their careers.
Direction is more important than speed.
Okay. Usually people give me like a whole spiel when I ask that question. You're like, okay, what was that, 4 words? So you got to keep your eye on this prize and don't worry about how long it takes, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Because, you got to only compare yourself to yourself of the past. You can't look around and see, oh, this person is doing that. Well, that person is a different guy. So why compare yourself to that? And with that, that's where my my little line is based on. You got to make sure that you are always approaching a closer point to your end goal, rather than thinking, oh, I got to move quick, because a lot of people move very quick, going nowhere. So it's a lot better to just kind of slowly, eventually make it there and enjoy the ride. It took me freaking 20 years to build my own studio in LA,
It happens eventually. You have to have patience for that. Yeah, that's something that I wouldn't say I'm working on that now, but I was working on that like maybe a year or two ago. Just try to enjoy the process of, like, you're not where you want to be for sure, but like, who is? Like, everybody's got bigger goals, and you attain a goal, and then you want another goal. So you got to just kind of learn to enjoy the process of wherever in that ladder you are, and just own it, I guess, Yeah,
100%.
Wow. Sick, dude. IRKO, what a pleasure to talk to you. And again, thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom. And I hope to stay in touch. And at some point, I'll be back in LA. I don't know when this pandemic's going to end, but I'll be in LA at some point. I've got friends and family there, so it'll happen.
Can't wait, man. Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast.
Yes, dude. Be in touch.
All right.
Take care. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Secret Sonics. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. If you've been digging the show, it would be awesome if you could share this episode or your favorite episode with a friend or two, and or leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcatcher of choice. That's it for now. Have a great week. Take care and dig in. See you soon. Bye-bye.